Today, there are nearly 1 billion people on the planet who are hungry. They simply don't have enough to eat. And one of the key reasons why the number of people who are hungry is so high is the problem of food price volatility. Food prices are going up and down rapidly in the marketplace at the same time that prices generally are being pushed up. And this is a real problem for people who spend the majority of their income on food. Now, the G20 has attempted to take on this issue of food price volatility in its agenda for the Cannes summit. France, as taking its leadership in the G20, has promised to try to do something about commodity price speculation. That's speculation on financial markets with respect to commodity-based derivatives, and also to do something with respect to biofuel policies. And these are important issues for the G20 because the G20 is host to most of the financial markets that deal in commodity derivatives, and it's also host to most of the world's biofuel production, and particularly host to the most market-distorting policies that encourage biofuel production. And both of these issues have been tied in research to this question of food price volatility. Now, the problem that we've seen, or as we're coming closer to the Cannes summit, is basically that the G20 has not been able to do much on these two issues in particular. The agricultural ministers met in June to try and come up with a plan to deal with food price volatility. But in effect, they decided that the agricultural ministers were not equipped to deal with the question of speculation. This was something that they wanted to leave to the finance ministers. The finance ministers met a couple of weeks ago, and they did not effectively deal with food security. It's not one of their primary objectives. And so the issue has been left largely unaddressed. With respect to biofuel policies, the agricultural ministers decided back in June that this was something that needed more research, but not something that they wanted to make a recommendation on. And this might be because some of the big players in the G20 are themselves big producers of biofuels. So it went against their interests. So in the end, what we've seen is through a lot of excitement at the beginning of the year when France took on the leadership of the G20 that it would actually do something about food price volatility. In effect, it's been largely unable to deliver on that particular agenda, and this is really, it's really too bad. The one thing that France has been able to bring onto the G20 agenda is one new initiative called AMIS, the Agricultural Market Information System, which is a information collecting and sharing mechanism which is aimed at putting more information into the markets in the hopes that it will smooth the volatility in food prices. It remains to be seen whether this particular initiative will actually work, but there's a lot of skepticism out there about whether this is enough because it's really just putting more information out there rather than delivering the structural economic changes that people see are necessary to get to the root causes of food price volatility.